Hi, first grade. Today we are going to start a brand new topic in math called geometry. And if you look at the title of the book called When a Line Bends, a Shape Begins, you may have guessed that geometry is all about shapes and solid figures. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But I'm going to read this book to you, and I want you to see if you notice shapes that you are familiar with. Look for shapes within all of the pictures of the book. And then after the story, we'll talk a little bit more about what are called plane shapes, and I think you'll recognize many of them from the story. So this is When a Line Bends, a Shape Begins. And while you're listening to the story, see what you notice about those shapes. A line is thin, a line is narrow, curved like a worm, straight as an arrow. A line is a jump rope, black ants in a row, a tug of war game, and a violin bow. A tall pole for fishing, a leash and a trail, a kite string, a shoelace, a whisker, a tail. Yes, a line is fine, but when a line swerves, when a line bends, watch what can happen. A shape begins. A square is four sides all the same. The box is of a hopscotch game. A patch to cover up your knee, a present sent from you to me. A checkerboard of red and black, blocks to build with, share and stack. A cracker is a square to eat. A square dance is for happy feet. A rectangle is like a square with something rearranged. Two sides are long and two are short. The four sides now are changed. Rectangle's a book to read, a window and a door, a picture hanging on the wall, a rug that warms the floor, a sign for selling lemonade, a box that you can hide in, a letter from the postman, and a wagon two can ride in. A triangle is three, three sides, three corners too. The white sail of a boat, a tent built just for you. A jack-o'-lantern's eyes, a wicked witch's hat, the beak of a black crow, the pricked ears of a cat. An instrument to ring, the pyramids of old, a lunch of jam and bread, a napkin in a fold. A diamond sits upon a point, its four sides are the same. A giant green one is the infield of a baseball game. Yellow ones along the road serve as warning signs. Black and white ones stand out bold in fancy floor designs. Baby's gates are wooden ones that you can stretch or squeeze. A ballerina's legs form one when bending at the knees. A circle's a button, a sock hole to mend, a shiny blue marble, a penny to spend, a bubble, a yo-yo, a red hula hoop, the bowl mom fills with hot noodle soup, a nest in a tree, a cookie to eat, cymbals to clang, a big drum to beat, bicycle wheels, a tin tambourine, a tiny curled kitten, a crown for a queen. An oval's like a circle, except it's not as stout. Two sides go in to make it thin, two other sides go out. Oval is a turtle shell, a way up high balloon, a beetle and a jelly bean, the curved scoop of a spoon. Sorry. It's a mirror made to look in, an egg all colored bright, a mouth that's filled with singing, and a baby bundled tight. Star is a five-pointed shape shining bright. Star shares the sky with the moon late at night. It tops tinseled trees in a season so merry. It sits on the tip of the wand of a fairy. Gold ones are given for good work in schools. The sheriff's star warns the bad guys of rules. A shooting star vanishes quick with a swish. A star is even the shape of a fish. Heart goes beat ba beat ba beat inside you all the time. It also is the shape that says, I love you, Valentine. A crescent is a slender shape, a yellow fruit to eat. A A hammock strung between two trees for Dad to rest his feet. It is a smile when curving up, when down it is a frown. It is the moon when day is done that hangs above the town. An octagon has many sides. All counted there are 8. You see it at the corner. It tells the cars to wait. Shapes are here, shapes are there, wherever you look. A circle, a square, a diamond, octagon, crescent, or star. Shapes to discover wherever you are. A rectangle, triangle, oval, or heart. Shapes with a curve or a corner to start. Anywhere, everywhere, shapes big and small. Dependable, bendable, lines make them all. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you noticed all sorts of plain shapes in that book. So we're going to take a quick look at our screen here and go over some of the plain shapes that we'll be working with and learning about. And when we say plain shapes, if you notice, we don't mean the plane that you would go on if you were traveling on a vacation or for a trip, but by plain shapes, we're talking about what are two-dimensional shapes. They lay flat. It's flat on paper. You know, you could draw a circle on a paper and that's flat. Versus what we'll talk about later on, which are solid figures that are three-dimensional shapes. That would be like a tissue box that you could pick up and hold, and it's three-dimensional. These are two-dimensional plane shapes. And we talk about and describe shapes, and we categorize shapes by their attributes, or another word that you might be familiar with is by their features. And first we'll start with, here is probably some shapes you're quite familiar with. This is a circle, and we notice that it is round and it doesn't have any sides, okay? And then we go to a square, and you'll notice that the square has 4 sides, and all 4 sides are the same size, okay? And then here we have a hexagon, and a hexagon is made up of 6 sides. Here we see a trapezoid, which you'll also notice is made up of 4 sides, like the square. But if you notice on a trapezoid, if you follow the sides here on these 2 sides, eventually those 2 sides would cross. And that's what makes a trapezoid different from a square. All of the sides, it's one of the things that makes it different from a square. The square all has the same size sides, and they would never cross each other. They would just continue going on straight. They would be parallel lines, where a trapezoid has lines that cross, and that's what we call perpendicular lines. But you don't have to worry too much about that. But that's a trapezoid. And then here we have a rectangle. You notice a rectangle also has 4 sides, but unlike a square, the rectangle has 2 shorter sides and 2 longer sides, and that's how we can tell the difference between a square and a rectangle. And a square is a special type of rectangle that all 4 sides are the same. And then lastly here, last but not least, we have the triangle, which is made up of 3 sides, and triangles can be, large and small and skinny or thicker, but they all have 3 sides. So now you're going to go ahead and work on a seesaw activity with a couple of different things to do related to plane shapes. And you'll notice that plane shapes are all around us. I bet if you take a quick look around your house, you'll notice that there are a lot of objects and items in your house where you could find examples of plane shapes. And that will be one of the parts of the seesaw activity. So again, these are our plane shapes, and go ahead on to your activity and make sure you follow all the directions and keep up the great work. And that is math for today. Thank you.